my name is Anna, and I love language development. I love working in early intervention and getting some of these late talkers to speak and to interact with not only their family, but friends and other members of the community. My background is in speech therapy, so I have a bachelor's in speech language pathology and audiology, and I'm currently getting a master's in deaf education and hearing science. Even though they sound very different, the core of both of these degrees is language development and how can we expose these kids to more language? How can we have them use certain vocabulary words, certain sentence patterns, certain intonation, even the production or the articulation of some sounds. And so that's what I do for work. I'm an SLPA, and I'm also a parent coach. And I wanted to share two of my favorite winter books that don't have anything to do with Christmas. So it works for those families that don't celebrate holidays. And it's not your typical How the Grinch Stole Christmas or a Santa Claus book or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I will be doing a little kind of review on How the Grinch Stole Christmas and some other popular books. But I really wanted two books that we can use during the winter time. We can use this not only during December, but also January and February. And yeah, let's get started. So my first book, the first book I have here is called Good Morning Snowplow. And it talks about a snowplow worker, and he is riding with his little puppy. And what I love about this book is that a snowplow or a snowplow worker isn't necessarily something that we talk to kids about, especially if you don't live in the northern states here in the US, or even in Canada, maybe if you don't live in Canada or any of those places. So I love it because it exposes kids that live in different climates to who a snowplow worker is, what this machine is, what's it for. But at the same time, for the kids that do live in those environments, my dog's scratching, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear it. But for the kids that do live in those environments, it kind of gives these community helpers, because they're community helpers during the holidays and during wintertime, it gives them a spotlight. I think there's many community helpers that we tend to forget about, right? And snowplow workers are one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just read a few pages so you guys can get the vibe. Goodnight homes, goodnight cars, clouds move in to hide the stars. Goodnight farms and goodnight town, tiny flakes start twirling down. So just in this first two pages, we're setting the scene up for, the climate of this place where the snowplow worker has to work in. And I love it because it starts to create the coldish environment. You see the man is wearing a jacket. You see that he has gloves, and it says tiny flakes start twirling down. So without telling the kids that, hey, it's cold, he's so cold, blah, 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 we want to read it, then show them the picture and ask them, like, how do you, do you think where he's at, do you think it's cold or hot where he's at? And they might say cold, most likely. But now it's like, how do you know, right? How do you know that it's cold? A lot of these kids, maybe they won't even know that it's cold, but the ones that do, they might not be able to explain why. And why is that important? There's many kids that, even by the age of 3 and 4, typical speaking children will be saying all these stories and reasons and, talk your ear off. But kids that have a language delay will have some difficulty explaining and telling stories. And so when we start practicing, how is the environment? How can we describe it to share with this other person? I think this is a great book for that. It also helps with WH questions, which are the who, what, when, where, how. And then why would be kind of a little older. Good night, playground, turning white. Good night, snowplow. Not tonight. Start the engine, try the lights, check both signals, left, then right. So here we are introducing what the snowplow is. It's a big machine, a big truck. You can talk about how it looks. They might say that it looks like a construction truck, that it looks like a garbage truck. You definitely want to connect new information with previous information that they already have in their brain. So that strategy is called build from the know. We want to build off from what they know. It's pretty simple. And our brain, as just like humans, and I think actually just different animals in general, our brain has a map, right? And certain sounds, like when I'm speaking, even though these are just random sounds to someone that speaks a different language, we have already not only encoded but decoded that, hey, what this person is saying are these words, and these are the meaning of these words. We have this map in our brain, right? Well, kids with a language delay might not have the most vast mental map, right? We think about not only hearing candy bar and knowing that the word candy bar is a candy bar, but when we think about candy bar, we might think rectangle, we might think chocolate, we might think even a brand of chocolate. And so our brain is already mapping immediately. Kids that have a language delay, they don't necessarily do that. They struggle with that. So if we can start with something they already know, like a garbage truck or a construction truck, because the kids love trucks, so now it's like, oh, here's another truck. It's a snowplow. It kind of looks like what? What does it look like? That's right. It kind of looks like a construction truck. What made you think that? Oh yeah, they have big tires. A snowplow has big tires, and a construction truck has big tires. What else? Oh yes. A construction truck has a big section in the back where you can put all the dirt, and the snowplow does too. The snowplow is kind of like a construction truck. Wow. Do you like snowplows now? Another thing that I did is not just connect things he already knows or she already knows, but I'm saying snowplow a lot. I don't know if you noticed or if you were counting or if you were like, why is she saying that word a lot? It's because I'm trying to naturally expose them to that word again and again and again, because kids they learn by play, they learn by accident. And if we are just sitting there and drilling them and doing flashcards, that they're gonna get drained, and honestly they're not really gonna learn that well, especially again a kid that has a language delay. But if we're having this conversation and we're making it interesting, and oh wow, it's just like the truck that you have, the toy that you have, and we start just piling up all this interesting stuff, and all we're with them discovering, a snowplow, wow. And so that's when they start to pick up, oh yeah, snowplow, oh, and they might, and you know what, you might turn the page and you might ask them if they remember the name, and they might forget. That's okay, because it's a brand new word. You just introduced the word, right? But you keep reading, and here you read the page and you start to describe what's happening with the snowplow. Oh, wow, the snowplow is leaving a trail. Do you see that? It's scraping the snow and leaving a trail. It must be a strong snowplow. You know, you keep introducing it. Here it actually talks about how the snowplow is, my little notes, the snowplow is making a trail, so great. And again, talking about the trail, maybe here you can talk about another word for trail. You might not, depending on the kid, you could or you couldn't, depends on the kid, explicitly say, oh, a trail, just like a path. And so again, you're connecting new words to words they already know. Yeah, the path. It's a trail. It's making a path so people can walk or so other cars can drive. What would happen if he didn't make a trail? What would happen if he didn't make a path? What would happen if he didn't scrape the snow? You're using these words. Even then, you could ask again, what would happen if the snowplow didn't make the snow? Again, you're introducing that new word, that vocabulary. And another thing I advise parents is be intentional about the words that you're going to work on. So it's a book, right? And well, actually, before I even say that, I just want to say this. Please do not be discouraged if your child keeps turning the page and he's not interested and they don't finish the book and oh my goodness, oh my gosh, you suck at reading. No, okay? Kids that don't read a lot are not going to stay and listen. They're going to just, move the pages and keep going and keep going. Why? Their attention is not really there yet. And you have to think about how in this, during this era, tablets and smartphones and YouTube on the TV are a huge thing that's part of the kids and adults' daily life. Like this is just a normal thing. And not only do we experience all those fast-moving pictures, which are the videos and the cartoons, right? All these frames that are moving and moving. Each frame is like a page of a book. And so they're used to something moving in front of them really fast. So if you guys aren't big readers at home, that is going to happen. I don't want that to discourage you from being like, I guess he just hates books. I guess like maybe we're not good at it. We're just going to leave it for the teacher. No, like it's going to take time. Just like running, you can expect to run a 5K, a half, or a marathon if you've never ran before. So if he's not used to, and I keep saying he, she, they, whoever, if they're not used to saying and listening and processing and discovering these pages with you guys, then it's going to be difficult at first. But that's number one. It's normal. First thing is normal if they are struggling with staying and listening and discovering the pages with you, that's going to happen. So don't be discouraged. The second thing is, in that, follow their lead. Maybe you guys don't have to read the book first. Maybe you're just looking at the pictures. Use the pictures as the base for your conversation. We know this book is going to be about a snowplow. It's literally called Good Morning Snowplow. Everything that I'm saying to you guys, like, wow, look at the weather. What do you think the weather's like? Everything that I just said, I don't have to read "Good night, farms, good night, town, tiny flakes start twirling down. Good night, playground, turning white. Good night, snowplow, not tonight. Start the engine, try the lights, check both signals, left and right." That had nothing to do with the snowplow. But yet, we can target the snowplow by the pictures. So please don't be discouraged. Them changing the pages, that it's going to be normal, especially kids growing up in this era. The second thing is follow their lead. And if they are interested in one thing, let's say like they stop turning the pages and they're interested in this, and you're done reading and you want to turn, chill out. Like, be with them in the same discovery path, right? Discover the book together. And also, don't worry if you don't finish the book. Don't worry if you don't read any of the words. Especially, you know what? There's parents out there that don't even know how to read. And I'm not going to tell them not to read to their kids. They can still use books. They can still buy them. They can still go to the library with their kids and encourage them, their kids, to read, and talk about the pictures together. Discover the story together. Maybe make up your own story. Because, yes, reading books is really important because it exposes kids to vocabulary that we don't use in our day-to-day, like snowplow, like path, like, what's another one? I'm just going to open a random page. Like load, as in heavy load, right? We say heavy thing. What about heavy load? I don't know why I gave you guys some sass there. I don't know. But even here, like the previous page says dispatch. When are we talking about dispatch? But in this book, there's a car that gets stuck, so you have to call the dispatch. So it's great to read books because it exposes them to new vocabulary, again, that we don't use in our day-to-day. However, we will have a chance for that if you guys can't read the book right now because of the kid or because of your own literacy skills. That's okay. Books are for everyone. That's the beautiful part about picture books. They're for everyone. And you don't need to read to see what's going on in the story. So, anyways, this is Snowplow. Such a great book. At the end, well, I guess I should review the book a little more. Talks about a car that got stuck in the snow. You guys can talk about that situation. Then here, the driver can't see. I got in my little like side quest for a second there because I was giving you guys some information. But let me go back to reviewing the book. Here it's like snowing really hard, so he can't see. And it says, pay attention. Oh, actually, let me read the whole thing and kind of see how I read it. And then I'll talk to you guys about why I read it like that. So I'll turn to this page. And it says, snow keeps falling fast and deep. Snow keeps falling fast and deep. Miles to plow before you sleep. Pay attention. What's ahead? Take no chances. Stop instead. So I'm reading pretty calm, ideally. I don't know if I'm excited on video, but ideally you're reading pretty calm. And then when it says, pay attention, you pause. And they're like, what? You know, it makes them like, it's like a cliffhanger. What's ahead? Then you give them a question. They're like, what? What's happening, right? Take no chances. Stop instead. Can you guess what's ahead? You know, before you show them, you can even ask them, like, what do they think? And they can guess random things. There was a kid that guessed, I was reading this to a class, and they told me a shark. Okay, irrelevant. But we can talk about how we can even give them questions like, like, where do sharks live? And do you think that the shark would be there? Like, kind of reason with them. But they, for the kids that answer a little more relevantly, they might say a deer. They might say another car that got stuck because they're thinking, oh, there was a car that already got stuck. Maybe another one is getting stuck. Maybe they'll say a snowman because there's snow. So they start, thinking, again, they're trying to map something, which is really good. That's why you're asking these questions, for them to practice this like mapping in their brain. That's called conceptual framework, that we can talk about in a different video. And so you turn here, and it's clearly not what they're going to guess, most likely. But they see this, and it's blinking. And the words mention the track. And so now they have to think, they're connecting, okay, I've seen this before. I've seen this light, and the word track, all those things that are on the ground, and a train. And so they give you a second guess. This is like their trial number 2. And then you flip the page, and then you kind of do the same thing where they're like guessing, and maybe you might give them an extra hint, and they verify their answer by looking at the next page, and yeah, it's a train. And you can praise them for that and talk about the train going fast or slow. But anyways, the story keeps going, and it's finally the morning. But before you tell them it's the morning, tell them like, oh, what just happened to the sky? It was night, but what do you see back there? And so, and for some kids, you can give those prompts. For other kids, maybe without prompting them, oh, look at that, it was night. Maybe hold back on that for the kid to have a little higher level. Maybe if you have a kid that has siblings that are a little older or have a higher language level, then you can first not say anything. And then if you hear them say the right answer, you can continue to describe and be like, well, yeah, like I wonder because, I wonder because, yeah. You're like kind of reasoning with that older kid, and that will make the lower language kid be like, oh yeah, because of this. You guys are kind of modeling how to think, because you guys are thinking out loud. And so the kid with language delay, ideally catches up to that. And if it doesn't happen at first, again, this is just something that happens with consistency. So anyways, it's becoming morning, and the kids are off of school, and you hear if they need practice with like verbs, which are action words. You can talk about what they're doing. He's rolling a snowball. It's a huge snowball. What do you think he's going to use it for? Making a snowman, sledding, sliding. You can say digging, scraping, whatever. And then ask them here, oh, what do you see at the end of the path? Giving them that, oh my God, ew, my spit. Giving them that opportunity to use the word snowplow by themselves in a response to your question. And finally, the snowplow worker arrives home, little doggy with him, and it's such a sweet ending. It says, roads no longer buried deep. Good morning, snowplow. Time to sleep. And then so you see that he put his hat down, and the snowplow, you can see it through the window, and the doggy. So you can you can just go to sleep, whatever, or you can talk about those things or save it for next time. But yeah, such a cute book. Like I said, it's one of my favorite books, and this video is getting kind of long. But if you're interested, keep watching, because now I'm going to review the Snowmen at Night. And again, it's another winter book. It doesn't matter if your kiddo celebrates, or your student, or your client celebrates holidays or not, because winter books are for everyone. Everyone experiences, well, not everyone in the world, but a lot of people experience different seasons, and this is a great book for that. So this one is by, I didn't even tell you who wrote this one. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce all these last names, but the author is Deborah Bruss, and the art is by 2 artists. So if you really want to know their name, check out the book. I checked these books out in the library. I think the library is a wonderful resource. And when it comes to seasonal books, some of them I do own, some of them I check out just because your girl doesn't have money like that, right? I wish I could buy all these wonderful books, but space and money. Okay, Snowmen at Night. This one is by Caralyn and pictures by Mark. I think they're married. They have the same last name. If you know how to pronounce that last name, that's awesome. I am a bilingual person. Spanish is my first language. And it's funny because I probably am pronouncing it right in my brain. But even though I work with kids with language delays and speech impediments, this is a confession. I get really self-conscious about how I speak. And I think that helps me kind of connect with the kids. Oh my God, am I going to be emotional? Okay. There was a time in my life where one of my very close friends started making fun of the way I was speaking. We were in high school, so it wasn't like we were little kids. And I think from then I noticed that some of my words or some of the words that I say are a little more like Chicano or Chicana like style. If you don't know what that means, Chicano, Chicana, that means kind of like you have roots from Mexico, but you were raised or born in the U.S. And I do speak a lot of like Chicano English and Chicano Spanish, even though I personally was born. It's just a funny way to phrase that. Even though I was born personally. Oh my gosh. Even though I was born in Mexico, I was just, see, like even my language, sometimes, I know that's not a disorder. It's part of having a bilingual mind. Sometimes you mix things. But anyways, I do get self-conscious sometimes. So I am probably most likely saying the last name correctly here, but I will refuse to say it out loud. And that's not healthy. That's something I need to work through. But anyways, that's the last name. They might be related. So it's a really great book, Snowmen at Night. And you have a little boy making a snowman. Wonderful. But then the snowman starts looking a little different, right? It says here, his hat had slipped, his arms drooped down. He really looked a fright. It made me start to wonder, what do snowmen do at night? And so he's like, hey, my snowman doesn't look the same. Are they doing something at night? And so it goes through this whole journey of like all these things that snowmen do at night. And the way that I've used this book specifically in my speech and language sessions is the S words. A lot of kids deal with S articulation issues. If you don't know, if your kid doesn't struggle with that, it's just they kind of lisp their S or they make their S into a T. It depends on the child, but they don't make an S. And so this book is great for S and it's great for action words. And I've also used it for S, I've used it for action words, and I've used it for sentence building. There are some kids that will answer in 1-2 words, but they have a really hard time with like just saying a full sentence. And for those kids, the first thing I do is kind of give them like a sentence structure to follow. So I'm going to give you guys an example of all the three targets that I just mentioned. Okay, these 3 targets can be targeted by what snowmen do at night. So here you're reading it, and so what happens? One of the first things they do is they slide. They slide to the park. Slide. So that's an S word. It's also a verb. Also, you can say it in a sentence. So for one of my kiddos, I like to add movement and rhythm. Music is, okay, I have to make a video about music, but music is super powerful. It really like stimulates the whole brain. So for a kiddo that's having a hard time with sentence building, I was doing something like, we already said that they were sliding to the park, sliding, we worked on S, and then we can say something like, the snowman slide to the park. Slide to, wait, no, that's not one I said. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about a different one. Okay, the snowman slide in the snow. Yeah, that's what I do, and I kind of do dun dun dun. The snowman slide in the snow. And so what happens next? Well, now they're drinking hot cocoa. Well, no, not hot cocoa. They'll melt. Cold cocoa. They're drinking cold cocoa, and it does say here ice cold cocoa. Come on, girl. So here the word that they use is sipping. They're sipping. And so what do we say? The snowman sip in the snow. And if your kid struggles with pronouns, here you can put they. They sip in the snow. Dun, 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 dun. You know, however you want to dance, you can go dun, dun, dun. It doesn't have to go dun, dun, dun. You know, you do your own thing, okay? But yes, so the snowman sip. So we have slide, sip. Here, the S is gonna be in the middle, racing, because they're in a race, or at the end, race. So if you want to check for that one, then they are skating. Now, some clinicians that provide speech and language therapy, some of them kind of do S as one goal and S blends as another goal. I noticed that like just exposing the kids to the blends helps with just the singular or the regular S production, even though it's not a blend. So I really like to expose them. So the word skating, which is a blend, SK blend. And if you don't know what that is, I'll make a video about that. Too much information. So skating. And so what I like to do, if it's something obvious, like if we are working on that S, I'm going to give them more opportunity, or if I'm just exposing them to vocabulary, to the verbs, because they don't have a lot of them, I'll go back and I'm like, okay, let's see if you remember. First they slide, then they sip, then they are racing, yes, and now they're skating. Good job. Oh, what do you think they're doing next? Yeah, just give them a little guess thing. I like that little oop. It always gets them. To a certain age, at some point they just stop caring. Like by the time they're in first grade, they're too cool for that. So you keep going, and now they're playing. Now this is another S in the middle. Baseball. right? They're playing baseball, and now they're having a snowball fight. Another S, and again you'll be like, okay, let's check again. Okay, first they do this, then they do this. Oh, okay, and then they do, wait, yeah, and then they do that. So you're going back. You're going, okay, and what was the last one we said? Oh yeah, they're throwing snowballs. It's a snowball fight. That's right. Just exposing them. Then sledding, and again, you're for the ones that are doing the sentences. They or the snowmen, depending on what you're working on, they are sledding in the snow. And they love that. They love that little, and it helps them to understand. Okay, these are just all the things they're doing in the snow. So you keep going, and again, just like the other book, the light starts coming up. Or the sun starts coming up, and yada yada. And so that's why the snowmen look a little different the next day, because of all the things they're doing at night. So yes, good morning Snowplow and Snowmen at night are two wonderful winter books that are so fun to read. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is my first video, so give me some love in the comments. Now, if you guys have questions about how to maybe you guys do want to read this books, but your kids struggle with something that I didn't mention, let me know in the comments below, and I'll give you guys some ideas, because books are wonderful. Remember, they're the baseboard, and you just gotta jump and it's gonna launch you. Okay, books are amazing. So if your kid struggles with something I didn't mention, let me know, and I hope to reply as soon as I see it. Because I have so many subscribers right now, so it's gonna be kind of hard. No, I think I have like 3. I'm gonna say I have 3 by the time I upload this video. But yes, I will reply as soon as I can, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. All right, bye guys.